Hello students, welcome to the second part of circular motion. Now in the second part of circular motion we are going to focus on banking and vertical circular motion. When the question comes in NEET, it is highly probable that it will be from vertical circular motion. So listen to this lecture carefully. But before I go on banking, I will like to discuss the concept of conical pendulum. Why? Because banking and conical pendulum concepts are near about the same. What is a conical pendulum? You take a string, you take a bob, you move the bob to side and release it. That's your usual pendulum. Then what is a conical pendulum? When you have a bob moving in horizontal circle, the string connecting to bob as it moves forms an imaginary cone. That's why it's called conical pendulum. So here the bob moves in the horizontal circle rather than swinging to and fro about a point. So we will talk about how does the conical pendulum move and its structure. So here we have a string of length L inclined with the vertical at some angle theta, and here the bob moves in a horizontal circle with an angular velocity omega. Which forces are acting on the bob right now? At this instant, when the bob is on left end, we can see that there are two forces acting on bob. One, the force of tension, another, the force of gravity. Since the angle made by this string with the vertical is theta, so this angle with the vertical also have to be theta. The force of tension acts at some angle theta with the vertical. Now we can break down this force of tension into two components. The vertical component will be T cos theta and the horizontal component will be T sin theta. Under the influence of these two forces, tension and mg, the bob moves in the horizontal plane. Since the bob moves in the horizontal plane, it doesn't have any vertical acceleration, it moves horizontally. Since it does not have any vertical acceleration, the net force in vertical direction has to be 0. So the vertical component of tension T cos theta must balance out mg. T cos theta should be equal to mg. This is the first equation. Second equation, the net force acting towards the center should be equal to centripetal force. The bob moves in horizontal circle. Where is the center? At the center. Who applies the required centripetal force? The horizontal component of tension. So the horizontal component of this tension T sin theta provides the required centripetal force, and that force is T sin theta. So the net force acting towards the center T sin theta, it's moving in horizontal circle, equals to m omega square r, and the radius in which this bob will move has to be equal to L sin theta, and this height definitely has to be equal to L cos theta, and the radius in which the bob moves is L sin theta. First thing that can be asked, you can cancel out this sin theta and sin theta, and the tension in this string comes out to be simply m omega square L, which is not very obvious. The tension is in this string is independent of the angle made by the conical pendulum with the vertical. So if I have a string, I have a bob, I move it faster, it will become more and more horizontal. I move it slower, it will be less and less horizontal. But the tension in the string has nothing to do with the angle of inclination. It depends upon omega. That's a different thing. Okay, next thing, dividing both the sides. The sin theta get cancelled. When I divide both the sides, the t get cancelled, the get cancelled. So what do I get? Cos theta equals to g upon omega square L. Cos theta equals to g upon omega square L. From here, I can write the angular velocity omega equals to under root of g by L, and the cos theta comes here. So omega is under root of g by L cos theta. Now if I know the angular velocity, I can find out the time period. I am writing time period as time period so that you don't get confused with the tension. That is tension, this is time period. Time period of this circular motion has to be 2 pi by omega, and in place of angular velocity omega, I can substitute under root of g by L cos theta. On substituting it, I get the time period as 2 pi under root of L cos theta by g. This is not such an easy result to remember, so let's make it easy. What is L cos theta? This vertical height. The height of the conical pendulum equals to L cos theta. So remember that the time period of circular motion, the time period, that is tension, this is time period. So I will write the time period completely. Okay, the time period of circular motion of conical pendulum is 2 pi under root height of the cone divided by g. Now it's such an easy result to remember because you already remember 2 pi under root L by g. Banking of road. Have you ever observed that on a turn, the outer side of road is at some height compared to the inner side, giving the whole road at some angle. Now because of this angle, when the normal force acts on the vehicle, one component of the normal provides the required centripetal force. Now here we will first talk about a hypothetical concept, a hypothetical case, and in this hypothetical case, friction is absent. So we call it banking of road case 1 without friction, and this is the most asked out case. So now let's say there is a road which is banked. There is a particular velocity v at which if the car moves on this banked road, on this frictionless banked road, then it will keep on maintaining the radius. There is a particular speed, let's say 20 meter per second. If the car moves at 20 meter per second on this frictionless road, its radius will remain constant. If the speed becomes more than 20 meter per second, it tends to move out. If the speed is less than 20, it tends to move in. You have done this in your life while taking a bowl, and you have placed a pebble inside it, a marble, small, and then you have turned it. The faster you turn it, the higher the radius the marble takes. The slower you turn it, the smaller the radius the marble takes. So what has to be that particular speed at which the car should move so that it neither goes outward nor inward? Let's find it out. The most optimum speed for a banked road in the first case, which is frictionless case. So let's say this is the vehicle of mass m. Since we don't have friction, there will be only two forces acting on this vehicle. One force of gravity downward mg and one force of normal, and the force of normal must act in the direction of normal. Under the influence of these two forces, the force of gravity and the force of normal, the vehicle moves in a horizontal circle. Since the vehicle moves in a horizontal circle, it do not have any vertical acceleration. Since the vehicle moves in horizontal circle, it do not have any vertical acceleration. And since it do not have any vertical acceleration, the net force in vertical direction must be 0. So let's see. This is force of normal. This angle with the horizontal is theta. So this angle also have to be theta. So this angle made by normal with the horizontal has to be 90 minus theta. We can break down this force of normal into two components. The vertical component, that is n sine 90 minus theta, that is n cos theta. And the horizontal component, n cos 90 minus theta, that is n sin theta. So now visualize the three forces acting on this block. One upward force, n cos theta, one force of gravity, mg, and one horizontal force, n sin theta. There is only one force acting towards the center, that is n sin theta. And the net force acting towards the center should be equal to centripetal force. So n sin theta should be equal to mv square by r. Since it moves in horizontal circle and there is no net force in vertical direction, so n cos theta should be equal to mg. Dividing both the sides, n get cancelled, m get cancelled. So you get cos theta by sin theta equals to g upon v square by r. The r goes up, so you get cos theta by sin theta equals to gr by v square. Flip the terms on both the sides. So sin theta by cos theta becomes tan theta, and on the right hand side you get v square by rg. Multiply this rg to left hand side, so the speed comes out to be under root of rg tan theta. If the speed is more than under root of rg tan theta, the vehicle tends to move outwards. If the speed is less than under root of rg tan theta, the vehicle tends to move inward. Moreover, whenever a plane takes turn, a plane also makes some angle with the horizontal. The same equations are formed there. So let's say this is the plane and we are looking on this plane from this side. If the plane makes some angle theta with the horizontal, the force of air, dynamic lift, must be acting this way, and the same equations get formed. If the plane makes some angle theta with the horizontal while taking a turn in a circle of radius r, then there also you can say that v has to be equals to under root of r g tan theta. The same equation comes. Now we will see banking with friction. Now let's say the car is moving on this curved road and we are looking at the side profile. Now there can be two cases. If the speed v equals to under root of rg tan theta, then no friction force acts. But if the speed is something else than under root of rg tan theta, then the friction force acts. If the speed is more than under root of rg tan theta, then the car has got tendency to move outward. And since the car has got tendency to move outward, the friction force acts along the surface but inward, so as to stop it from moving outwards. The maximum possible speed at which the car can move on this road on which friction is present is under root of Rg tan theta plus phi. Now here, what is phi? Remember that tan phi equals to the friction coefficient present between the car and the vehicle. That is the value of mu. If on this curved road, the car moves with a speed less than under root of Rg tan theta, then the car has got tendency to slide inward. Since the car has got tendency to move inward and friction opposes relative motion, friction force act up the incline. Now in this case, the minimum possible speed with which the car can move so that it do not slide inwards, that minimum speed comes out to be equal to under root of Rg tan theta minus phi. So how to remember it? It's obvious that tan of theta plus phi is more than tan theta is more than tan of theta minus phi. So look at the terminology written with that. V max, the maximum possible speed at which the car can turn, is under root of Rg tan theta plus phi. V minimum, the minimum possible speed at which the car can turn, is under root of Rg tan theta minus phi. And the speed at which the car should move so that no friction force act, that speed is under root of Rg tan theta. Now, many times students don't know how to open up this tan theta plus phi. So remember that tan of A plus B is tan A plus tan B upon 1 minus tan A tan B. So when you have got tan of theta plus phi, write it as tan theta plus tan phi upon 1 minus tan theta tan phi. And in place of tan phi, you can substitute mu. So here you get under root of Rg tan theta plus tan phi mu upon 1 minus tan theta tan phi, and in place of tan phi, I have written mu. For no friction, this is the maximum speed at which the car can go. This is the speed at which the car should go for no friction force to act. Okay, under root of Rg tan theta. And the minimum possible speed at which the car can take turn without sliding is under root of Rg tan theta minus phi. Just like we write tan of A plus B as tan A plus tan B upon 1 minus tan A tan B, we can write tan of A minus B as tan A minus tan B upon 1 plus tan A tan B. So here you get tan theta minus tan phi, but in place of tan phi, I have written mu. So tan theta minus mu upon 1 plus tan theta tan phi, and again in denominator in place of tan phi, I have written mu. Now we will talk about vertical circular motion. Let's say we have a string of length L connected to a bob of some mass, and we have given it some horizontal velocity v. As the bob goes up, the string makes more and more angle with the vertical, and the speed of the bob keeps on decreasing. Let's say we have given sufficient speed so that at least the string becomes horizontal or maybe go above it. We will discuss here case by case what happens at every point. So let's talk at lowest point. At lowest point, first thing first, what will be the tension in the string? Let's say T. How to find it? Always make the equation as the net force acting towards the center equals to centripetal force. But which forces are acting on this bob? If we make the free body diagram of this bob right now, there will be two forces, a force of tension acting upward and a force of gravity acting downward. Under the influence of these two forces, it moves in a circular path right now with a speed v. So the net force acting towards the center, T minus mg, should be equals to mv square by L. So the tension in the string must be equals to m times g plus v square by L. So this has to be the tension when the string is at this point. They can ask you multiple questions more. What is the centripetal acceleration of the bob right now? So you will say, Dekh bhai, at right now bob has got speed v, length is L, so the centripetal acceleration is v square by L. What is the tangential acceleration of the bob right now? In the tangential direction, right now no force act. Tangential direction is horizontal, the force of tension is vertical, the force of gravity is vertical, there is no tangential force. Since there is no tangential force, at this position, we can say that the tangential acceleration has to be 0. They might ask what is the net acceleration when the bob is at lowest point. Since the tangential acceleration is 0, the net acceleration has to be equals to centripetal acceleration v square by L towards the center. Next case, now let's say the string makes some angle with the vertical. Now if you are asked what is the tension in the string at this position, let's call T dash. This speed v has to be less than, this speed v dash has to be less than v. But what has to be the tension in the string here? How to find it? So look here. Think of the free body diagram of the bob right now. What are the forces acting on it? So there is a force of tension, T dash. There is a force of gravity. if this string makes an angle theta with the vertical, so this angle also have to be theta. So you can say this angle is theta. The net force acting towards the center equals to centripetal force. So here I will have to break down the force of tension is towards center, but there is one component of force of gravity away from center. If this angle is theta, this angle is also theta. The component of force of gravity away from center is mg cos theta. So here you will write equation as T dash minus mg cos theta, the net force acting towards the center, has to be equal to centripetal force, and the centripetal force has to be equals to mv dash square by L. Net force acting towards the center equals to centripetal force. Now here they might ask, what is the centripetal acceleration, what is the tangential acceleration? So for this position, the centripetal acceleration is under root of v dash square by L. And what has to be the tangential acceleration? To find the tangential acceleration, you have to look at the net force in the tangential direction. This is the tangential direction in which we have got speed right now. In this direction, there is no component of force of tension. Tension is perpendicular to the tangential direction. But there is a component of force of gravity. How much? Mg sin theta. Since the net force in tangential direction is mg sin theta, that's why the tangential acceleration has to be g sin theta. Let's say after some time the string becomes horizontal. Now they ask you what is the tension in string. Let's say the tension they mark as T double dash. You will look at the forces acting on the bob. For this particular position, there will be two forces acting. A force T double dash acting towards the center, a force of gravity acting downward, and let's say the bob has got speed V double dash up. The net force acting towards the center has to be equal to centripetal force. So the force of tension acting towards the center, T double dash, has to be equals to mv double dash whole square by L. So why you haven't considered mg? Reason being, the force of gravity acts vertically downward, so it does not have any component. The force of gravity acts vertically downward, so it does not have any component in the direction, in the radial direction, that is towards the center. So that's why we only write the net force acting towards the center, T double dash, has to be equals to mv double dash whole square by L. That is the first equation, and that is the how you find tension. Now they might ask, what is the centripetal acceleration, what is the tangential acceleration? So centripetal acceleration has to be simply the speed right now whole square divided by L. The tangential acceleration has to be how much? To find the tangential acceleration, look at the force acting in the tangential direction. What is the force acting in the tangential direction? There is only entire force of mg. Since the entire force of mg acts in the tangential direction, the tangential acceleration has to be the force in tangential direction mg divided by mass. So the tangential acceleration will be equal to g. So now we will talk about a trick which I use to solve the question of vertical circular motion faster. The biggest amount of energy in the vertical circular motion questions get wasted in making the energy equation. I completely bypass it. How? Remember that if only gravity does the work, which in most of the vertical circular motion cases it does. For example, you have a bob, you give it some velocity, as it moves, there are two forces acting on it, the force of tension and the force of gravity. There is no third force acting on this bob. We have learned in the session of work power energy that the work done by radial forces is always zero. So as the bob goes up, the work done by tension on the bob is zero. So who does the work on the bob? The work is done on the bob only by the force of gravity, and this technique works only when the gravity does the work. You remember the third equation of motion, that the final velocity square minus initial velocity square equals to 2 times acceleration into distance, right? I use the same thing here. If let's say you have a projectile and you shoot the projectile with some speed v, when it is at some height h above the line of throw, from the line you have thrown, when it is at some height h above, obviously the potential energy is now higher, so kinetic energy now has to be lower. So we say that the speed here has to be equals to under root of initial speed square minus 2gh. And when it comes below the throw line by let's say some distance h dash, here below the throw line at some depth, let's say h dash, the potential energy is less than before. So now the kinetic energy has to be more than before. So the speed must be more than v, na? So here the speed comes out to be under root of v square plus 2g h dash. You can verify this or this using work energy theorem. Initial kinetic energy plus initial potential energy equals to final kinetic energy plus final potential energy. But I use them just like I am using third equation of motion. So if in any equation I have a bob which has been given speed v, when the bob rises through a height h, I simply take here, after rising through height h, the speed has to be under root of v square minus 2gh. And if I have released a bob and the bob descends through a height h, goes below through height h. Here I have released it bob and it descends a height h. Then here the speed is under root of 0 square plus 2gh. So at this point speed will be simply root 2gh. Some questions. First question. There is a bob of mass m connected with string of length L. The string is moved to an angle theta with the vertical and released. Question is, when the bob reaches the lowest point, you have to find two things: the speed of the bob and the tension in the string when the string becomes vertical. So now here, when the string becomes vertical, first let's find out what will be the speed of the bob, and that is a sure cakewalk. All you have to find is how much height the bob has descended. So this whole length is L, this length is L, this angle is theta, so this length has to be L cos theta. So by how much height the bob has descended, so you will say the height by which the bob has descended down is L minus L cos theta. So at the lowest point, the speed has to be equals to under root of initial speed square 0, since it has got down, so plus 2g into h, and in place of h you can write L times 1 minus cos theta. So this has to be the speed at lowest most point. Now many a times they don't give an option under root of 2gl into 1 minus cos theta. Why? They play a little bit of trickery. In place of 1 minus cos theta, they write 2 sine square theta by 2. So that is a trigonometric conversion that you should know. So in place of 1 minus cos theta, we can write 2 sine square theta by 2. And here you might get under root of 2gl into 2 sine square theta by 2. So here you have two 2's, so you can take one 2 out. You have got sine square theta by 2, so you can take sine theta by 2 out, and you can even write this speed as, so v, your final answer comes out to be 2 under root of gl sine theta by 2. That is one thing. Now second thing that they have asked is, what is the tension at the lowest point? Once you know the speed, it's easy to find out the tension. What? Look at the bob at lowest point. There are two forces acting, the force of tension along the string and the force of gravity downward. You can make the equation as the net force acting towards the center, T minus mg, has to be equals to centripetal force, that is mv square by L. So the tension at lowest most point is nothing but mg plus mv square by L, where v equals to under root of 2gl sine theta by 2. Next question, what is the minimum speed that has to be given to the bob at the lowest point so that the string at least becomes horizontal? What is the minimum speed that has to be provided? So that the string becomes just horizontal, it means that after reaching this point, the speed should be 0. And going from here to here, reaching the highest point and coming to rest, after reaching this height, what has to be the speed here? After going up through a height h, the speed has to be under root of v square minus 2gh. And here the height attained is L, so here the speed will be v square minus 2g. And this speed after going up by height L, which is v square minus 2gl, should be equal to 0. So since this speed has to be 0, so you will say v square equals to 2gl, or the speed that has to be given is under root of 2gl. So if you give the bob a speed of root 2gl at the lowest point, it goes up to the place where the string becomes horizontal, then comes to rest, and then it will try to come back to the original position. Question time. First question. There is a hemispherical dome. At the top of this hemispherical dome, we have a block. What horizontal velocity has to be given to this block so that the block loses contact with the dome? That is the simple question. Now, let's say we have given some velocity v. Look at the free body diagram of this block right now. What will be the forces acting on it? On this block, if it has a mass m, there will be two forces acting, a force mg downward, and because of this dome, a force of normal upward. And since it is moving in a circular path, the net force acting towards the center mg minus n. Notice that the center is here. So the net force acting towards the center mg minus n has to be equals to mv square by r. Question is, what has to be the minimum value of v so that the block loses contact? Notice in this equation I can write normal reaction equals to mg minus mv square by r. So if we keep on increasing the speed, the normal reaction keeps on decreasing. There is a particular value of speed for which the normal reaction becomes 0, and once the normal reaction becomes 0, we say that the block has lost contact with the dome. So for which value of v the normal reaction becomes 0? Substitute normal equals to 0. So you get mv square by r equals to mg. Cancelling out mm on both the sides, the speed at which it loses contact comes out to be equal to root rg. So the speed at which the block loses contact, that speed comes out to be root rg. So for any speed greater than root rg, it will lose contact. For any speed less than root rg, it will move along the surface. Next question, same type of question. There is a hemispherical dome, frictionless dome. At the top, you have placed a block and release it from rest. Question is, after how much angular displacement the block will lose contact with the dome? So now how to solve? Let's say this dome has got a radius r, and let's say here the block is at rest. After descending through some height, the block will gain some velocity. Let's say the velocity gained by this block after descending through a height h is v. How much height the block has descended? So this length is r, this length is also r. So the height descended has to be r minus r cos theta. So height descended is r times 1 minus cos theta. So the speed of the block right here has to be equals to under root of 2g h, and h you can write as r times 1 minus cos theta. If we look at the forces acting on the block at this position, there will be a force of normal, there will be a force of gravity downwards, and look here, this is the curved surface, there is a force of normal, there is a force of gravity, and the block has, let's say, speed v. The net force acting towards the center has to be equals to centripetal force. This angle made by this normal with the vertical is theta. So this angle has to be 90 minus theta. So this angle has to be theta, and this angle, if I extend this line, this angle will also be theta. Now the net force acting towards the center has to be equal to centripetal force. The component of force of gravity towards the center will be mg cos theta, and normal is outward. So you will write the second equation, the net force acting towards the center mg cos theta minus n. This has to be equal to mv square by r. Okay, so mg cos theta minus n equals to mv square by r. And kids, normal reaction has to be 0 because the block loses contact here. Since the normal reaction has to be 0, you will get mg cos theta equals to mv square, and in place of v, you can substitute 2gr times 1 minus cos theta, square it, so you get 2gr into 1 minus cos theta by r. Now you can cancel out m, g, g, r, both the sides. So on the left hand side you are left with cos theta, and on the right hand side you are left with 2 minus 2 cos theta. So you can rewrite this equation as cos theta equals to 2 minus 2 cos theta, or 3 cos theta equals to 2, or cos theta equals to 2 by 3. So at an angle with the theta, cos inverse 2 by 3, the block will lose contact. But there is one more fun fact here. When cos theta equals to 2 by 3, what will be this height? This height is r cos theta. So the block loses the contact at a height r cos theta above the base, that is at a height 2r by 3. So if the radius of this dome is 15 meter, the block will lose contact at a height of 10 meter. If the radius of dome is 21 meter, the block will lose contact at a height of 14 meter, that is at a height 2r by 3 above the base. So now the big question, what is the minimum speed that has to be given to the bob at the lowest point so that it can complete the vertical circular motion, given that the bob is connected to a string? Understand, a string can only pull, a string can't push. So now, what has to be the minimum speed that has to be given? Understand that if you here give the speed equals to under root of 2gl, then the string becomes horizontal and then the bob comes back. For any speed less than root 2gl, if you give it a speed less than root 2gl, it will keep on oscillating in the lower part only. It will never cross the horizontal line. If you give a speed more than root 2gl, only then it will go above the horizontal. But still, it may or may not complete the vertical circular motion. So, what is the minimum speed that has to be given at the lowest point so that the bob completes the vertical circular motion? If you have read this topic already somewhere, you might know the answer is root 5gl. But here where I am going to emphasize is how do we get the answer. So, let's focus. At which point is the most probability of the bob to discontinue the vertical circular motion? At the highest point. Let's say what is the minimum speed required at highest point for the bob to continue the vertical circular motion? Let's say the speed of the bob at highest point is u. When the bob is at highest point, why do I consider some speed? If you do not consider any speed, and here we have got the bob at highest point at rest, it will straight fall down. It won't continue vertical circular motion. So for it to continue vertical circular motion, it must have some speed at the highest point. Now let's say the minimum speed for vertical circular motion at highest point is u. We have learned the equation. The net force acting towards the center equals to centripetal force. So the force of tension plus the force of gravity acting down should be equal to centripetal force mu square by L. Now here you can see the higher will be the speed at highest point, the more will be tension, because this part is constant. So if you throw the bob faster and it has got more speed at highest point, the more will be the value of u, the more will be the value of t. As you keep on increasing u, the speed at highest point, the tension at highest point will keep on increasing. As you keep on decreasing u, the tension keeps on decreasing. And there is one minimum possible value of u for which the tension becomes 0. So u is minimum. The minimum speed at highest point is the one for which tension is 0. And when we substitute tension equals to 0, that minimum speed comes out to be equals to this get cancelled, root gl. So the minimum speed the bob can have for vertical circular motion at highest point is root gl. And if the bob has got this minimum speed, then the tension in the string at highest point comes out to be 0. Now, if the speed minimum required at highest point is root gl, what has to be the minimum speed at the lowest point? From the highest point till the lowest point, the bob descends down by a height 2l. So at lowest point, speed has to be equals to under root of u square plus 2gh. So this square, root gl square, gives you gl plus 2 into g into the height that it has descended, that is 2l. So here you get under root of 5gl. Many a times here this question gets asked. When you have projected bob with the minimum speed to complete the circle, what is the acceleration of bob at the horizontal level? So if here the speed is root 5gl, at this point speed has to be under root of v square minus 2gh. Going from here to here, this height is L. So v square 5gl minus 2g, and this height is L. So here you get the speed as root 3gl. So in a rush, students answer that, okay, if the speed is root 3gl, acceleration has to be v square by L. So that will be root 3gl whole square by L. That will be 3g. That will be your centripetal acceleration. The centripetal acceleration at this point, no doubt, will be 3g. But there is also tangential direction of force of gravity downward, which provide a tangential acceleration g downward. So the net acceleration at this horizontal level, because of centripetal 3g inward, because of gravity g downward, so the net acceleration comes out to be under root of 3g square plus g square, that is root 10g. So now the case, what is the minimum speed that has to be given at the lowest point if the bob is connected to a rod rather than string? The difference between the string and rod is a rod can push but a string can't push. In the case of string, if at highest point the speed becomes 0, the bob will fall straight down. But this is not the problem in case of rod. In case of rod, if it is a light rod and when the rod becomes vertical and the speed of bob becomes 0, it won't fall straight down. So in the case of rod, even at the highest point, when the bob reaches the highest point, the speed of bob can be 0. So here the minimum speed at highest point can be 0. Since here the minimum speed at highest point can be 0, what has to be the minimum speed that has to be given at lowest point so that the bob reaches the highest point? Going from here to here, doing the energy conservation, the bob descends through a height 2l. So the speed at lowest point has to be equals to under root of speed at highest point 0 square plus 2g times the height descended, that is 2l. So here the speed comes out to be equals to under root of 4gl. So the minimum speed that is required for a bob connected with rod to complete the vertical circular motion is less than that in the case of string. Now two similar questions that get asked. If let's say there is a vertical ring in which a biker moves the bike, and second there is a tube, vertical tube in which a marble moves. What is the minimum speed that has to be given to this block in a vertical ring so that it completely completes the circle, and what has to be the minimum speed that has to be given at the lowest point to the marble placed inside this tube so that the marble completes the circular motion? One of the case is same as that of string and one of the case is same as that of rod. Here, if the marble will have 0 velocity at the highest point, it won't fall down straight. It can't fall down because there is inner surface of tube. So it is constrained to move along the surface just like in the case of rod. So this case of tube is same as the case of rod. So here the speed required at the lowest point is under root of root 4gr. Speed required is root 4gr. And in this case, where you have a ring and there is nothing else inner side to support, if here the velocity at highest point becomes 0, what will happen? It will fall down straight. So here the speed at highest point can't be 0. So here the minimum speed required at highest point is root gr minimum. If it is more than this, it's okay. And the minimum speed required at lowest point is root 5gr. The minimum speed has to be this much or more than this. So this is the case same as string. This is the case same as rod. So let's do the last example in vertical circular motion. There is a bob connected with a string of length L. At the lowest point, this bob has been given some speed v such that this speed is more than root 2gl. Root 2gl is the speed required to make the string horizontal. So it is more than that, but less than root 5gl. Root 5gl is the minimum speed required for it to complete the vertical circular motion. So the speed is intermediate. So it will definitely go above the horizontal, but it won't be able to complete the vertical circular motion. So question is, at what angle above the horizontal the tension in the string becomes 0 or the bob stops to do circular motion? So let's say this happens, you have given initial speed here v, and let's say this happens when the bob makes some angle, the string of the bob makes some angle theta with the vertical. Let's say here the speed of the bob is v dash. First of all, let's find out this speed v dash. When the bob goes from here to there, what height does the bob attain? So bob goes up by height. Let's say the length of the string is L. So this length L plus this length. So L plus L sine theta. So since the bob goes up by a height L plus L sine theta, here the speed v dash can be directly written as under root of v square minus 2g L plus L sine theta. Now looking at this position, what will be the forces acting? There has to be a force of tension, there has to be a force of gravity. If this angle is theta, this angle will be 90 minus theta. The net force acting towards the center has to be equal to centripetal force. What will be the net force acting towards the center? There has to be a component of force of gravity, mg cos 90 minus theta. Mg cos 90 minus theta will be mg sin theta. As well as there is a force of tension. And the net force acting towards the center, mg sin theta plus t, has to be equals to mv dash square by L. In place of v dash, I can substitute out this data, under root of v square minus 2g L times 1 plus sin theta. And one more thing, since here the bob stops performing circular motion, here the tension in the string becomes 0. So substitute the tension in the string as 0, and in place of v dash substitute this data point. So you get mg sin theta equals to m by L times whole square of this. So here you get v square minus 2gl times 1 plus sine theta, this whole in the multiplication. So now kids, you can see the term on both the sides get cancelled. So you get g sine theta equals to v square by L minus 2g minus 2g sine theta. Bring this 2g sine theta to the left hand side. So on the left hand side you get 3g sine theta equals to v square by L minus 2g. Dividing each term by 3g, you get sine theta equals to v square by 3gl minus 2 by 3. So this is the answer to the question. Now since you can substitute v and subtract minus 2 by 3, we will be able to find out sine theta. With this, I have concluded the vertical circular motion. Next time we will meet with center of mass. See you guys, keep working hard, all the best.